Hello, welcome UNT Dallas family. My name is Arthur Lumsey Jr., and today we're going to be talking about resume development. Today we're being joined by Miss Jasmine Ferguson with City Year of Dallas. And today she's going to be sharing a few tips about how you can take your resume to the top. And also a little bit about City Year and how you can partner with them. So without further ado, I would like to turn it over to Miss Jasmine Ferguson. Take it away.
All right, thank you, Arthur. Hey, everyone. Again, my name is Jasmine. I'm a regional recruitment manager with a nonprofit organization called City Year. And basically, we all know that students are innately capable of reaching their goals and being successful, but unfortunately, schools aren't always designed to meet the needs of the students in the best way. So with our organization, we are combating this crisis through hiring 18 to 25-year-olds to serve as full-time tutors and mentors in one of our schools for the entire school year. So that's a little bit about, what we do. So I hire those people. I hire the 18 to 25-year-olds. So today we will be talking about resume development, and we will go ahead and get started with that. If I can get to the next slide. All right, awesome. So these are a few of the basics when it comes to your resume. So one, your resume is going to set you apart from the competition. Your resume is something that sells you as a person. When you're not in the room, your resume speaks for you. So when you're thinking about how to write your resume, you have to make sure that it is setting you apart from everyone else. What makes you unique? What makes you special? What makes you the person for this position? Employers typically take about 20 to 30 seconds to read over your resume, which is, not enough time to read the entire thing. So that's just telling you that they're not going to read the entire thing. So you have to make sure that when someone takes a glance at your resume, the most important things are highlighted so that when an employer is looking through it, they can easily pick out the key things that you've done in your resume. I would say stick to 1 page maximum on your resume because of the fact that they only employers only take like 20 or 30 seconds to look through your resume. If you need more space, if you've had a lot, and I say if you had a lot of experiences, you're switching careers after like 20, 30 years or something like that, you can probably go over to 2 pages, but first starting out, definitely keep it to 1 page. Also, your resume is going to highlight your accomplishments, your skills, and your leadership. And then also, again, just like make it your own. So when you are determining how to set yourself apart, be unique in that endeavor so that you stand out. Okay, so this is one way for you to change your perspective when it comes to how you're going to craft your resume. So ask yourself this question: if you were on a hiring or selection committee, what qualities would you look for in a resume? So basically what we're trying to tell you is that when you are applying for jobs, think about the person that's going to look at your resume, what they will be looking for. And that will help you to design your resume in a way that will stand out and will also, touch on the key factors of the job description and things like that to, show that you are the best candidate for the position. So there are 2 types of resumes. One is the chronological resume. So this is, breaking down your resume from your most current work experience all the way down to, your oldest work experience, education at the bottom. And then the functional resume breaks down your skills. Your work experience is a little smaller. On this one, has your education, professional development, your computer skills, things like that. But, it is functional in terms of that it is targeted specifically to the job and the skills that you have that that will be necessary for the job that you're applying to. So these are 3 secrets to a great resume. So 1, customize your resume. Basically what that means is that when you are applying for a job, make sure that every resume that you send out is customized to the job that you're applying to. So that does not mean that, you know, the same resume is getting sent to every job. That means that you're strategically looking at the job description of the position that you're applying to, and then your resume, and literally, like, I would suggest for you to take keywords straight out of that job description and put them in your resume. Make sure that your resume is speaking directly to that job that you're applying to. So that means that, you know, you may be switching some words around to tailor to that job description specifically, because otherwise employers may not even see your resume if it doesn't have, you know, specific keywords in it. Also, you want to build strong bullets. So use buzzwords in your resume. So that's like action or verbs, basically. Make sure you have verbs in your resume. Make sure you demonstrate your results and accomplishments. And the way that you can do this is with numbers. So if you have raised a certain amount of money for an organization, put that on your resume. If you have worked with a group of students and you increase their test scores by 90% or something like that, put that on your resume. You know, numbers look really, really good because it's something quick and easy to look at. You know, as we mentioned before, employers take 20 to 30 seconds to look at your resume. So if they see these numbers, then it's like, okay, this person did this, and that, awesome. You know, they're able to grasp the information in a clear way. And then the third thing is to be clear, concise, and prioritize information. So, you know, do not get wordy on your resume. Typically, you want to stick to like one sentence per bullet point on your resume. So, you know, with that being said, there's so many things that you may want to put on your resume. And then that one sentence turns into like a run-on sentence. You don't want to do that. So in order to determine what to put on your resume to be clear and concise, you have to prioritize information from the most important to the least important. And then also, again, like I said, look at the job description to make sure that you're highlighting the right tasks that you've done in previous jobs. So here are a few resume sections that you could, you know, potentially have on your resume. Identifying information, that means your name, your location, your phone number, email address, LinkedIn profile, your objective or summary of qualifications. This is totally optional. It depends on the position. It depends on your style as well. If you would like to have it, go for it. If you don't, that's okay too. Your education, of course, should be on your resume. So, you know, if you're still in school, make sure that it's highlighted. If you have multiple degrees, make sure they're all there. Any relevant courses that you've taken, this too is optional, especially like if you need more, if you need to add more to your resume, then I would suggest adding some relevant courses that speak to the position that you're applying to. If you have plenty of experiences on your resume already, you know, you can leave out the relevant courses. If you're just running out of space and just don't have space for it, that's perfectly fine. Also, you want to highlight your honors and activities, your work experience, your internship experience. These things should be listed in reverse chronological order, meaning that the most recent position, so say you're at a job right now, that's going to be the first thing on your resume. So like if you know, did something 5-10 years ago, whatever, then that's going to be, you know, the last thing on your resume. Your volunteer experience should be on your resume as well. This too should be in reverse chronological order. And then the skills that you have, make sure you highlight these on your resume. I've seen this done multiple different ways where people have like done like kind of like graphs of their skills. So they're like, you know, this is how proficient I am at this skill. It's entirely up to you on how you want to display your skills on your resume as well. Oh, okay, here we go. So identify information. Again, this is what I just mentioned. So your address, you can put this, you can put this if you want to. If you want to be safer, you could just put Dallas, Texas, if that's where you currently live. You don't have to put your entire address if you don't want to. Your telephone number with a professional voicemail. You don't know how many students I've called from my position with City Year that have the wildest voicemails. Some of my favorites are like when I call a student and they do like that fake voicemail where it sounds like they're answering the phone, and they're like, just kidding, this is my voicemail, and it gets me every time and it stresses me out. So make sure that you have a voicemail that if someone is calling you with a job, they will be inclined to leave you a message because otherwise that might just send someone in the complete opposite direction away from you. So you don't want to do that. Make sure your email address is professional. Perhaps stick to your first name, last name as the email address, whether it's your school email, whether it's a Gmail, Yahoo, whatever it is. Make sure it's professional. I've seen the wildest email addresses as well. So, think about that. Your professional social media accounts, specifically LinkedIn, could be on your resume. Make sure there is an option on LinkedIn to customize your username. So I suggest that you do that as your first name and your last name, instead of all the numbers and letters or whatever that LinkedIn will automatically give you as your URL. Make sure that it is tailored to who you are and have your name as it. Education, this is just a breakdown of what you would want in the education section. So the name of your degree, the name of the university and where it was located. If you haven't graduated yet, put the anticipated graduation date. When it comes to your GPA, anything over 3.0, you can definitely put on your resume. If you've had any type of honors, whether it's like you were on the dean's list or something like that, you can put that in this space as well. Study abroad experience, make sure you highlight that too. And then also you could put the relevant coursework. If you choose to put that on your resume, you can put that in this section as well. For your experience, this is how you will break down this section. So you will start off with the job title, the employer's name, the date that you were employed. So as you can see, for this, it says September to December of 2018. Put the city and the state. If it's a virtual position, then you can say this is a virtual position. And then here, as I mentioned before, like these are the bullet points. So you would think of 3 related skills to the job that you're applying to. So make sure that you focus on the accomplishments that you've had that relate to that job. And then, as I mentioned, create 3 sentences, 1 sentence per each bullet point. And that's what you're going to highlight in this area. And as I mentioned before, make sure that your experience is in reverse chronological order as well. So this is one of the problems that we often see with resumes. So the problem is that, some people just assume that other people know what you do. So like with this example, this person is assuming that whoever reads their resume knows what the Pan-Hellenic delegate is and what they do. I personally have no clue what that is. So like, if I were to see that, I'd be like, okay, great, good for you. So, you want to make sure that you highlight what you've done at a specific organization or whatever, in a way that is very clear, so that if someone who has no clue, what the Pan-Hellenic delegate is, or has never been in a sorority or fraternity, they're able to look at your resume and say, okay, this is exactly what this person did in this position. Another problem that you see is that you forget to sell yourself. As I mentioned at the top of this meeting, your resume is the way that you sell yourself when you're not in the room. So in this example, it is really, this person was really, really basic when it came to what they did in this particular fellowship. So they said worked on a fundraising team for organization, attended twice weekly meetings. That sounds like, something that anybody could do. I'm sure there were multiple people, that were at those meetings. What makes you stand out from everyone else? So like if everyone at the Campus Christian Fellowship applied for your job, what would make you stand out amongst everyone else? This clearly won't. So, as you see at the bottom of this screen, these are a few ways that you can specifically highlight exactly what you did in this position. So you see the fix here is that instead of having member, they changed it to fundraiser. And then they broke down, how much money that was raised for this position, what type of, like skills or tools that they use. So like Adobe Illustrator and design, things like that. So this was really, really more specific on what this person did at this fellowship or in this fellowship. Another problem that you see is you forget about the scale and detail. So with this example, this person just wrote, what they did without being specific about exactly how they went about, writing for the newspaper. So when at the bottom of the screen, you see like this person wrote 2 articles per deadline, 2 deadlines per week, and reported on this specific subject, contributed around 50 published and byline articles. This is a lot more specific, and it shows the employer exactly what this person did at this newspaper. Because if they just kept it as improved interview and communication skills, like, okay, great, anyone can do that, learn how to work with people, everyone could do that. Like, you have to make sure that you stand out in your resume. Another problem that we see is that you underestimate how much you've done. And I can definitely be transparent and say that this is a space where I often struggle with or have struggled with when it came to like my resume, where I'd be like, oh, I was just doing my job, instead of highlighting specifically like, no, I did X, Y, and Z in this position, and, things like that. It is okay to pat yourself on the back. It is okay to say that you've done great things. It is not, it's not selfish or anything like that. Just remember that you are the one that's applying for a job, and you want to be chosen out of everyone else that applies for the job. So you're going to have to feel special. You're going to have to show anyone who looks at your resume that you're special as well and fit for the position. So it is okay to highlight what you've done. So don't underestimate yourself. Don't underestimate the things that you've done. And it is okay to put all of that on your resume. So, clearly here with the extracurricular activity, they just write the name of, the crowd that they were in. But with the fix, you see that, they were the treasurer. Like they weren't just in, in this corral. They didn't just show up to the meetings. Like they handled the monthly dues. And for Gamma Beta Honor, Phi Honor Society, they did things in that position as well. So again, like I mentioned, just make sure that you're highlighting yourself and don't underestimate things that you've done, because it's all important. Another problem that we see is that you're not using the right words. So as I mentioned before, your wording is very important when it comes to a position that you're applying to. So in the example here, we see this person is a social media coordinator for Circle K. They say that they made website using Joomla, or I don't know how to pronounce that. That just doesn't even sound right. So, make sure that you're using words that make sense. It is not just like, I compiled a list of links, like, okay, that's great. So, make sure that you are using jargon from the field that you're interested in, instead of just basically all this is saying is don't be basic. Like when it comes to your resume and the way that you write things, they'll just say, oh, I just made this website. Like, no, you built the website. So speak up what you've done in certain positions as well. Again, this is just a breakdown of the importance of your bullet points on your resume. So again, like I said, make sure you use verbs, make sure you quantify your experiences, highlight your accomplishments and your results. You can provide scenarios or examples of skills. So answering the questions of who, what, when, where, why, and how. Include transferable skills, especially for those positions that may not sound like they're aligned with what you want to do. There are definitely skills that, if you were a sales associate, you are going to gain skills in that position that can help you, run a business or be a social worker or something like that. Like those opportunities can help you as long as you make the connection for whoever's looking for your looking at your resume. So make sure that you're making that connection. Also, there is a method that you can use called the PAR method. So P stands for problem. So that means that you're identifying a responsibility or a challenge at work. A is the action, so you're discussing how you address the problem, and then R are the results. So what was the outcome of that action? You can utilize this method when determining what bullet points are important to emphasize on your resume that will make you stand out for the job that you're applying to. Also, when it comes to your accomplishments, make sure you write them, basically, is what this is saying. Like, these are just examples of how your accomplishments can help you stand out amongst other people. So, for example, an accomplishment, the first one says selected as the only student intern to lead the print marketing initiatives for Ole Miss basketball events. So that makes you stand out because you're the only one that did that. The next one says promoted from cashier to shift manager in charge of 4 student cashiers. Again, the purpose of these accomplishments is just showing the person that's reading your resume, the employer, the hiring manager, that you are unique and you are special. So make sure that you think of things that you've done that perhaps no one else has done, or that you've done significantly better than others. Make sure you highlight those accomplishments on your resume. And then also when it comes to skills, make sure that you're utilizing or writing skills that you're really great at. As I mentioned before, like I've seen people, highlight their skills on their resume and they have like a graph of like how proficient they are. Make sure you're, very proficient in whatever you highlight on your resume. Don't say you're proficient at Microsoft PowerPoint if you don't know anything but copy and paste or something like that. Like, make sure that you are good at these skills if you want to put them on your resume. And make sure that like, if someone asks you to do something that, is just major, that you can actually do it. So, make sure that you highlight those skills in the way that, again, sets yourself up and ties into the job that you're applying to. So this is just an example of like how employers rate the importance of candidate skills and qualities. So clearly the first thing on this list, or the highest rated skill on this list, is the ability to verbally communicate with persons inside and outside the organization. So relationship management and communication is very, very important to employers. So, this list, again, just check it out, see what's on this list, because this is what employers are looking for. If you're able to do these things, you're going to be more likely to be a part of whatever company or organization that you're applying to. Here are some of the optional categories. So honors and awards. If you don't have any, that's okay. Don't put it on your resume. If you don't have any specific achievements that you would like to highlight, that's perfectly fine too. As I mentioned before, when it comes to achievements, like if you're the first person to do something, or if you did something better than everyone else, that's perfectly fine to put on your resume. If you don't have that, that does not mean that you're less qualified for a position. It's perfectly fine. Academic projects or senior projects, if you don't have those, or if you already run out of space with your experiences, it's okay not to have that on your resume. Or if they don't align with the job you're applying to, then you can leave that off too. Technical and lab skills, it's okay to leave that off. It's okay if you don't know how to use Microsoft Word too well, I mean, of course, it depends on the position or whatever, but like if the position doesn't ask for it, it's perfectly okay not to know how to use it. Or at least to like an expert level, I should say. Relevant courses, again, like it's okay to leave these off. And as I mentioned before, if you need a filler on your resume, just to, take up that one page, it's perfectly okay to leave those courses on your resume. So these are some things that you just don't need to put on your resume. We do not need to know your weight, your height, social security number. That's just a security risk too. You don't want your resume to fall into the wrong hands and then, someone steals your whole identity. Also, references available upon request. Don't put that on your resume. Just leave that off. If they need your references, they'll ask you for it. Don't just put that on your resume. That's just odd. And then your birthday, you don't need to put that on there either. It's perfectly fine to leave that off of your resume. Any questions?
I don't see any on Facebook, and I'm looking at the bottom of the page, and I don't see any in the Q&A. This is very comprehensive.
All right. So it sounds like I did a good job.
Great job. Great job.
Thank you.
As one who reviews resumes a lot, what are some of the common mistakes that you see that's like this person would have made it to the next level if they would have not done blank?
Typos, that's a big one. Make sure that you read over your resume before you send it to anyone. Putting the wrong, like if you have an objective and you like highlight the position that you're applying to, like putting the wrong position in that objective is just that's a big no-no. What else? Just not being just not being strategic about what experiences you highlight on your resume. It just leads me to believe that you don't know what you're applying to. You're just sending out your resume to anyone who will take it. And that's not a good look, for lack of better words. Like that's not a good look when I look at resumes and it's just like, did this person even try? If I have to ask that question, I'm probably not going to call you. So, again, as I've stressed multiple times, like make sure that your resume is tailored to the position that you're applying to, and where you're applying as well. Don't just send out resumes just because you want to, create a LinkedIn post one day and that says like, oh, I applied to 400 different jobs and I only heard back from 3. Like, there's a reason for that. So, just make sure that you're being as strategic as possible when it comes to applying for positions, because we see that and it's not okay. But yeah, that's my answer.
I totally 100% agree. And I know that our students will be made better. And there's some of the things that they need to hear that, yes, sometimes it can be the very little things that can trip a person up, that separates them from going from the we want to move forward file instead of the decline pop.
Yep, definitely.
Awesome sauce. Well, we can't say thank you enough for being with us today. A great friend of our institution, and we look forward to seeing you um, add a few more events later on in the semester to be
Yes. Always, whenever I can support, I will always be there.
awesome sauce. Well, with that, we thank our UNT Dallas family for tuning in this evening. We hope that you will like, subscribe, and share. This repeat will be on our Facebook page, as well as in the coming days, you will be able to find it on our YouTube channel. And so please feel free to check us out. And we look forward to seeing you again for our next workshop. I believe our next one that we have is coming up will be actually as a tabling event. And it's going to be Ask Me Anything About Career. And we're going to be in the atrium from 4 to 5:30 on Thursday. So please feel free to stop by. And with that, we leave you and we bid you farewell and we hope that you have a great evening. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.